Hey, at least I'm not all keyed up to watch a kid's show.
I'll have you know that Duck-tective has a big mystery element and a lot of humor that goes over kids' heads.
Hey, Cassettes, and welcome back to the Boo Case Diaries. Whoa. We're three old gnomes learning everything we can about movies and TV, and hopefully teaching you in the process. I'm Robin.
I'm Schmebulag.
And I'm Adam.
That was Marcy, actually. That was
Yes, me.
She fooled you.
Oh my gosh, I'm a little goof.
I will be honest, it'd be funnier if it was the last person who said Schmebulag.
As we creep further into the Halloween season, we're turning our attention to one of our all-time favorite supernatural TV shows. This series has it all, including zombies, ghosts, telepathy, multiverses, and even time travel, all crammed into one mysterious town in Oregon, Gravity Falls.
Oh my gosh. This show took me so long to finally commit to it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did.
Gravity Falls is an animated show that aired on the Disney Channel in the early 2010s. It ran for 2 planned seasons and covered one complete story about a pair of twins living with their great Uncle Stan in rural Oregon for the summer. But of course, nothing is as it seems, and these 2 kids end up spending their summer fighting off gnomes, solving ghostly mysteries, and even battling the weird apocalypse. So, let's hop on the bus to Gravity Falls and uncover the mystery of how it was made.
From the outside looking in, I just knew it was an interesting show. I knew a lot of people loved it, and I'd seen a couple of memes that came from it, right?
Yeah.
There's the gif of the gnome puking a rainbow.
Barfing, yeah.
That is everywhere.
So classic.
And then I've seen pictures of the pyramid character, who we'll get to, but I had no other concept of what it could be. But it covers so much that you'd never know.
Yeah, really.
From just trying to find out. You have to watch it
Yeah.
to actually get it all.
I remember hearing the name of it for the first time and being like, oh, it's just one of those goofy Disney shows.
Yeah.
I thought about watching it, but, it was I was in college at the time.
Yeah.
And I put it on to fall asleep one day because I wasn't feeling well. And I couldn't fall asleep because the show was so good.
It was just too good.
And I was like, God, this is a good show.
Yeah.
And I was so blown away because, it starts out like a normal supernatural show where it's monster of the week type things.
Yeah.
But the overarching story really begins so early on.
Yeah.
And you could tell that it was
yeah.
really planned and it was just so well thought out. And it was funny. It's such a funny show.
For those of you out there who haven't seen the show, definitely do yourself a favor and go watch it.
Spoilers ahead, probably.
Yes, lots of spoilers ahead. And as somebody who took their sweet ass time getting around to watching it, I take it from me, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah. Plus, it's only 2 seasons. You got
exactly.
this.
You got it.
You can plow through it in a week probably if you sit with it. Twins Mabel and Dipper Pine's parents have shipped them off to Gravity Falls to live with their great Uncle Stan for the summer. Stan is a local businessman that runs a tourist attraction called the Mystery Shack, where he scams people out of their money on a daily basis. At the shack, he has employed Seuss, the handyman, and Wendy, a local teen. Just after they arrive, Dipper discovers some strange happenings in the town and finds a mysterious journal documenting the unknown author's encounters with multiple supernatural beings. Together, Mabel and Dipper navigate the highs and lows of summer, growing up, and battling monsters, both supernatural and emotional. The longer they stay in Gravity Falls, the more they discover about the journal, the Mystery Shack, and their Grunkle Stan. And, as it turns out, nothing is ever as it seems.
Yeah. I think that first episode, he finds the journal, and at the end, when you see Stan go over to the vending machine, he puts in, and it was I remember being like, oh, he knows about it. It was such a cool moment. It was oh my God, this is going to be such a good show.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And it's crazy because that particular thing, that's episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But that is not revealed until so much later.
I know. They wait a long time before you get to see what's on the other
But
side of
it's
that.
so cool how they do that. And I love when this show does it particularly well, but whenever shows sprinkle things in super early,
Yeah.
or like continue to reference themselves
Yeah.
back, like as time goes on, they continue to reference what happened.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is so much fun.
Okay, so now we are going to do our little thing that we do where we talk about
The making of the show.
making of the show.
Yeah.
Let's,
Man.
gotta
Marcy
get into
forgot
that.
what it was called
I
because
did,
we never do
and-
it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like a one-time thing, so don't get used to it.
I was trying to stall just long enough
Yeah.
until somebody could say it for me.
Exactly. She was begging me to do it.
Gravity Falls was created by Alex Hirsch. While in school at California Institute of the Arts, Hirsch and his friend Adrian Molina started a friendly competition where they would each come up with 5 ideas for a TV show every day. The first to give up would have to write a 40-page pilot for one of their shows.
Oh,
Dude,
no thanks.
It's hard.
that would be so hard.
Yeah.
I could maybe do one
Yep.
a day.
Yep. After about a week, the two friends called a truce. The last show that Hirsch had come up with was called Gravity Falls. The original premise followed a young man that has a nervous breakdown after a breakup and retreats to the small town, only to find that it's teeming with unexplained phenomena. And we'll have a full original synopsis available in our blog for you to read because it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
CalArts is famous for producing some of the biggest names in animation. For example, Adrian Molina would go on to co-write and co-direct the beloved Pixar film Coco.
Yeah.
Sweet.
After graduating college, Hirsch got his first job in the animation industry as a storyboard artist for The Marvelous Misadventure of Flapjack, a Cartoon Network show. He also helped develop the pilot episode for Disney's show Fishhooks.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense because the Misadventures of Flapjack
Yeah.
feels very similar to Gravity Falls in a
Ah,
way.
yeah. He was he was a storyboard artist on there, and his writing partner was Pendleton Ward.
Oh yeah.
that's
on Flapjack before Adventure Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disney reached out to Hirsch after viewing some of his student work and asked him if he would like to pitch a show. He pitched 3 series, one of them being Gravity Falls, but with a new premise from the original concept. Hirsch kept the name, though, because he liked the pun-like quality of it. The other shows were about time-traveling dolphins and another about time-traveling gentlemen. Disney executive Mike Moon could see that Gravity Falls was the one that Hirsch had a strong relationship with, and he knew it could work as a show.
Yeah, and it had, with its concept, you have so many.
Yeah.
Like it writes itself in a way.
Yeah.
I really think that the show works so well because he was so close to the subject matter, like the material. People watching it could kind of liken it to their own experiences because, as humans, many of us have very similar experiences,
Right.
So you could see that a lot of this came from real stuff.
Yeah.
The new premise followed twins that were sent to live with a relative during the summer. This closely resembled Hirsch's own childhood, where he and his twin sister, Ariel, would stay with their great aunt in a cabin. Hirsch describes the show as if The Simpsons and Twin Peaks had a baby, and it's on Disney Channel.
It's perfect. It's perfect description.
Yeah, that works pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah. I was
honestly.
like, dang, he hit the nail on the head.
Yes,
man.
that's exactly right.
After the pitch, Hirsch spent about a month storyboarding potential episodes on sticky notes. During this time, he developed an 11-minute version of the pilot episode, which he presented to Disney, even performing all of the voices.
Nice.
He wasn't sure if they liked the show, but he could tell they liked him and saw potential. Disney told Hirsch the show was likely to be picked up and to start hiring people. He first brought in his former college roommate, Ian Worrell, as art director. He also picked up his buddy Joe Pitt as character designer. Essentially, Hirsch just shoved all of his college friends into a room, and together they created an amazing show by having fun and goofing around.
That's the way to do it.
That's
It
the
is.
dream, isn't it?
Yes.
Hirsch made a sign for everyone working on the show, reminding them that they were making fun stuff with friends. It was decorated with little clouds and trees and displayed as an inspirational poster.
That's so cute.
Nice. It's a very Mabel thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a cute idea too.
The writing room for Gravity Falls wasn't very big, with only a few writers working at a time. Some of them were Alex Hirsch, Matt Chapman, Jeff Rowe, Josh Weinstein, Timothy McKeon, Zach Pez, and Shion Takuchi. As they got together, the group would bring up events that happened to them growing up. Hirsch is a big fan of The Simpsons, and he used Matt Groening's philosophy that there always has to be real emotions behind the plot lines of the show. The writers would come up with the supernatural aspect of the episode, but then use that as a backdrop to what was really happening with the characters and how they were learning about themselves. The first thing that Hirsch focused on was Dipper and Mabel's personalities. They had to be a believable sibling duo that got on each other's nerves but still liked each other. The next thing they focused on was the storyline. Writing a mystery is difficult because there's a lot of setup, and you can't cheat the audience by making the conclusion something that they never could have guessed on their own. Then they focused on the punchlines of the episode, because keeping it funny made the show more fun to watch. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I really, really like Dipper and Mabel's dynamic.
It really
From the
reminds
beginning.
me of Adam and like one of his sisters. I always felt like Adam
One
and his
and or
sisters
both.
had a really good relationship.
Yeah.
And so like it feels like kind of, you know what I mean? Like that relationship feels very similar. Even, and that's one of the cool things about the show is that that's like a very baseline thing, and
Yeah.
it's how they're able to deal with everything.
But they don't want to engage in the nerdy stuff with you.
Yes.
Just like Dipper.
Yeah, just like Dipper. like like the episode with Dungeons and More Dungeons.
Dude, that was like when
Even
that,
the title was
when
like,
he brought
heck
that
yeah.
up, I was like, yes! I was so ready to be totally railed by that episode, and I was. It was made all the jabs that I wanted to be made at DMs and the whole game. It was great.
So great.
Hirsch asked his creative director for the name of the funniest person at CalArts. His director gave him the name Michael Rionda, but told him that he was in high demand at the time. So, Hirsch sent him a letter asking him to be part of the team. He promised that it would be more like a TV boot camp than a series, and that they could sharpen their skills together. After Rionda came on board, he and Hirsch got along very well. He challenged Hirsch in a way that no one else would, which made the writing stronger. Both men would write the same scenes separately and then meet up to show each other their work. Then they would edit them and combine the best pieces of each scene.
Aw.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I bet that guy loves that it's on record that he was the funniest person at CalArts.
Right?
That's a good point. He probably does love that. One of the most important parts of the story was that it had a finite ending. It's far more common for TV shows to continue as long as the ratings are high. But Alex Hirsch knew that there was only so much story to tell, and his story editor, Rob Renzetti, understood that too. Renzetti was a driving force behind working toward the show's endgame, keeping the 2 seasons as succinct as possible.
There's such a great balance of episodes that are standalone and that you could watch outside of the plot.
Yeah.
And then story episodes. And
Right.
it's so nice. There is not a single bad episode of this show. I would there's not a single one where I'd be like, yeah, cut that one.
Skip it. or
Yeah.
We
whatever.
don't need that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something great about every episode, and it's so nice that the balance is there because they needed the audience to breathe in between these big story reveals.
Right.
Yeah.
And to like kind of keep the show going, but also like have more lore and having more introduction of other characters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Alex Hirsch actually asked his sister, what she thought was the best episode and what she thought was the worst episode.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
which I was like, putting her on the spot.
Uh-huh.
So she said her favorite is the Time Traveler's Pig.
I love that
where
episode.
she's
yeah.
like, because I always wanted a pig.
Yes, of course.
That, and then of course she had a hard time coming up with like her least favorite or the worst.
Impossible.
Because it's impossible. But she did end up saying the first one, and not because it's bad. Like she's like, it's a great episode, but she's like, I think it's because I've seen it so many times. Because she's I show so many people the show, and I figuring out how to reach the end was a big challenge. The writing team knew how the story would end, but they had to figure out how to get there. After a long brainstorming session, the group broke out into cheers when they finally cracked the code on season 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because Alex Hirsch was adamant that there would only be 2 seasons, Disney honored his wish instead of forcing the show to continue. In the first season, the main mystery is who wrote the journal that Dipper finds in the first episode. Hirsch knew that once this was solved, the tension would disappear. It was only a matter of time afterward that the show would have to end.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the writers would create a script, they would do a table read with the storyboard artists. Hirsch would then take all the edits from the storyboard artists and write up a final script for them to illustrate. After the artists finished creating storyboards, they would post them on the wall and do a walkthrough with Hirsch watching. He would make minor adjustments to their work and brought it to Disney executives. He and Mike Moon would then make a mock-up video of the episode with Hirsch performing the voices for the characters.
That's got to be hilarious.
Yes. Now, the artists did say they were, like, a little bit terrified when they would do this run-through because Hirsch would sit in the very back and he would be all slumped over, slumped over with his finger near his mouth, like, being like,
Yeah.
Very
but,
attentive.
When it was time for the actors to record their lines, Hirsch was in every session, ready to direct them through it. Once the lines had been recorded, Hirsch would do one final run-through of the audio with the storyboard illustrations to make sure that the images matched the voices. After that, the audio and storyboards were sent to Korea, where they were animated.
Cool. Yeah.
Story editor Rob Renzetti gave the animators details on how things needed to be animated. For example, he would tell them exactly how long characters needed to scream in certain episodes.
Yeah, it would make sense that that kind of stuff wouldn't translate. You know, it's like, they scream, okay, but like, for exactly how many seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, the voice recordings are done. Like, we need to know,
Like,
It also makes me think of how a lot of shows around this time do a very unorthodox cartoon thing where they sit with a joke for longer than you expect.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, when Mabel is like telling Stan and his brother to hug it out,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
She's like, and hug. Here comes the hug train. Hug it out. And they're gonna hug. Like, it's like for too long, but in a good way, you know what I mean? And that's not something that a lot of cartoons do, just like some around this time. Like Adventure Time, I think, does that too.
Yeah.
But that's another thing that may not translate because you're like, people are just kind of standing around while a joke is still happening.
Yep.
But I really like that stuff.
It's so good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The team would get the animated episode back after 2 to 3 months, and they would make more adjustments. They could only send it back to Korea so many times to make changes. So
that's got to be hard.
Yeah, they had to be very selective. It was kind of like, these things are wrong. Which ones are the most pressing? That we want to make sure get fixed.
Yeah.
Designer Ian Worrell designed key parts of the show, like the Mystery Shack. The shack was a combination of a ship captain's cabin that Hirsch actually stayed in as a child and an old Victorian house he would visit as a kid. It's also inspired by the Santa Cruz Mystery Spot, a tourist attraction that Hirsch saw bumper stickers for as a kid. Artist Andy Gonzalez created the props that characters interacted with. The most important prop he created was the journal. The pages were in Gonzalez's handwriting and featured his drawings.
Oh, so in a way,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
he's the true
He
author.
is the author, yes.
Oh, man.
Does he have 6 fingers?
I hope so.
Many of the characters in Gravity Falls were inspired by the people in Hirsch's life. Mabel was based on Ariel, Hirsch's twin sister. More specifically, he used his memories of his sister when she was in middle school and was utterly not afraid to be herself. That is so true. There,
Yeah.
like, especially for young girls, like there's just a point where they stop, feeling confident enough to like be themselves, but like before that, when like, they have no problem.
They just
Yes, I am here.
say it all, do it all.
Yes. Growing up, both of them were imaginative kids that would sometimes get on each other's nerves. They spent several summers with their great aunt, who lived in a cabin. Without video games or any friends, the twins had to make their own fun and were forced to get along. The show follows the twins over the course of one summer, but this was an amalgamation of all the summers that Alex and Ariel spent together with their great aunt.
Yes.
Oh, man. I wonder if they claimed to have seen abnormal
Living in the woods like that.
living in the woods, yeah.
Yeah. While designing Mabel, he made sure that she had a big sweater that she flopped around because it matched a vivid memory that he had of his sister Ariel.
Oh.
The sweater that launched the ideas for a lot of Mabel's sweaters was a colorful troll one that his sister had worn as a kid.
Oh, man.
Yes.
So good. I
Yes.
loved every single one of them.
Yeah.
Her sweaters,
They were different
yes.
every time. My absolute favorite one, though, was the one with the wiener dog that wraps around like 3 times. Do you remember that one? I can't remember what episode it was in, but like at the bottom you see the little dog butt, and then it's just a noodle all the way around, and then the front of the dog is at the top. So it's like wraps around. I love it and would wear that today.
Her sweaters are so cute.
Yes.
Actor Kristen Schaal voices Mabel. You might recognize her voice from the series Bob's Burgers, where she plays another young girl, Louise.
Yes.
When Hirsch was writing the pilot, he could only imagine it in Kristen's voice. She was it. Kristen had a great level of commitment to the role, and it helped that she had a lot of energy like Mabel. Kristen said that out of all the characters she has played, she relates the most to Mabel Pines. She had braces when she was younger, she was boy crazy, and she would have made a sock puppet play, etc., just like Mabel does in the show.
I love her very much.
Mabel's such a great character.
She's so good.
Yeah.
And the actress,
Yeah.
too, just outside the
Perfect.
show is
Yeah.
also wonderful.
Yeah.
She seems like she would be a blast to hang out with, to be honest with
Yes.
Yeah. The people working on it with Alex were like, as soon as he put Mabel down on paper, she was alive. Like
Yeah.
it was Mabel.
Yeah.
She was the most fleshed out.
Check it out, Dipper! I successfully bezazzled my face! Blink! Ow.
Is that permanent?
I'm unappreciated in my time.
In spite of her insanity, I
Yeah.
suppose,
Mm-hmm.
she has this magnetic personality where you just, she's crazy, but
Yeah.
you want to hang around, though.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
brings in other people who like her, and she brings joy into any situation.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
And it's
just also just
amazing.
so caring.
she's always going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like when this show, as the show progresses and like she grows up a little bit and her feelings become a little more complicated,
Yeah.
and it gets a little harder for her to understand like what's good and what's right and what's wrong. And near the end when we have this huge weird Mageddon and everything
Yeah.
going on, what really jumpstarts that is her making basically one wrong decision.
Yeah.
Right.
And like that's the thing, is it like she is like kind of the moral compass of the two twins.
She's making the wrong decision, yes, because as the audience we see what's
Yeah.
but with the best intentions, because she's like, well, if it makes people happy, does it matter? So
Yeah.
and that's a really complicated question.
Yes. Yeah. Dipper is based on a middle school version of Hirsch himself. He chose the ages for the kids based on that time in your life when you want to be seen as a grown-up, but you're not quite ready to actually grow up.
Yeah, you want the freedom of adulthood,
Yes.
but none of the other stuff.
Yes.
The sponsor billeries.
Yeah. I love Dipper. I love how driven he is and like, you know, just wanting to solve the mystery all the time.
Yep.
I love how nerdy he is, and that's something like he just hyper fixates on stuff.
Yep.
I think there's a bit in an episode where Mabel talks about how she can't sleep in the same room with him anymore because he reads at night. He's like, "How is my reading keeping you up at night?"
Oh,
and
yeah.
it cuts this scene where he's like, "Oh, wow." Oh, I didn't know that. You know, like he's just doing so. Oh my god, I do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Jason Ritter voices Dipper. He has also appeared in several shows and films like Kevin Probably Saves the World and Captain Fall. He is also the son of the late actor John Ritter.
Huh.
Oh. Hirsch liked Ritter for the part because he had a nice vulnerability to it and a natural voice crack.
Oh man.
Just like Adam.
Yeah.
What? How dare you?
When he was younger, Ritter had been told that the voice crack would go away, but it never did.
Yeah.
Solidarity, brother.
He's got a great voice, and
He
it's so
does,
good for
yeah.
Dipper. Yeah. Hirsch said working with Ritter was like working with Dipper himself because the actor wanted to know what all the codes and symbols meant.
Man, oh man. See, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you cast the
You have to-
perfect person.
Yes, you have to cast the perfect people. Grunkle Stan was voiced by Alex Hirsch. Hirsch knew that he wanted the kids to be with an unreliable narrator character. He considered different personalities for Stan, like maybe something similar to Vincent Price. Ultimately, he landed on the personality of his own Grandpa Stan, whom he did not know well but had become a family legend. Grandpa Stan was infamous for being a pathological liar and messing with people all the time. It's like,
That's-
oh, no, I'm not
yeah.
lying, I'm just messing with you.
That's not a normal dad or grandpa or uncle.
Yeah. When Hirsch was a child, his uncle tried to convince him that a hotel spoon was the legendary Hirsch family silver. Hirsch's mom told him to look at the handle where it said the inn's name and not to believe him. That was my entire childhood. My father tried to convince me of so many things. He told me our dining room table came over on the Mayflower.
Amazing.
Nice.
A lot of people auditioned for Grunkle Stan, but they would either make him too mean or too old. So they tested it with Hirsch as Stan in the pilot. It worked really well and made his life easier because if he needed to change a line, he could easily do that at any point. He does such a great job as Stan. I actually would not immediately think that Stan and Bill, a later character, are the same voice actor.
Yeah. Nope.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's both.
He's both. And the creator.
Yeah.
I'll
Yep.
be damned.
And he's so many
No
more
way,
characters
dude.
too.
It's way different.
Bill and Stan, yeah.
That's an impressive range.
I know. It's really, I'm
Yep.
like, you should have been
Yep.
a voice actor.
And he
Right?
does the main gnome guy too.
Yeah, yes, the main gnome.
That one I
Yes.
can hear the similarity between
bit.
him and Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
Stan is...
Yep.
Yeah.
And
A
Seuss,
whole different
he does
person.
Seuss
He does
as
Seuss
well.
also.
You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
No, he does Seuss.
I know. He's really good.
Yep.
Well, damn.
Yeah. I would not think that, if I,
No,
but I know it. Yeah.
That's incredibly impressive. That's like Tom Kenny levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hirsch taught himself to do lots of voices. He started when he was younger to annoy his sister.
Best way to do it. Huh?
I used to do that. The characters were so close to his heart, he knew them so well, that it did not feel right having someone else voice them. Hirsch tried a lot of different symbols to place on Stan's hat, but ultimately chose a simplified version of the symbol on the Shriners' hats. The Shriners is an international fraternity according to their website. Seuss, Jesus Ramirez, the handyman, was also voiced by Hirsch.
Lee.
Seuss was based on a buddy from Cal Arts named Jesus Chambret. Jesus was an upperclassman who was always trying to help. Each time he would make it worse before it got better. If you needed help with a printer, he would break it and then proceed to help you fix the printer he just broke. He was very sweet and kind.
Aw. I really like Seuss.
Yeah.
He might be my favorite character, but
Yeah,
it's-
Seuss is
they're
the
all
best.
so good.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seuss
he's
is so good.
He's so sweet.
Oh,
yeah.
It was difficult for Hirsch to explain Seuss in order for actors to give him the right voice. Even Hirsch's voice was not quite right, but it made them all laugh and worked, so they kept it. This happened with other characters like Bill. If they liked it, they kept it as Hirsch's voice.
That's crazy, man.
Nice, yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I love how he calls everyone dudes.
Yes.
Oh, dudes.
Girl dudes.
Girl dudes. Yeah.
Wendy is played by Linda Cardellini, who has done a lot of voice work, including Guardians of the Galaxy 3. She's been in a lot of stuff, but she's been doing a lot of voice work lately. Yeah. Wendy is the cool older girl that Dipper is infatuated with on the show. She works in the Mystery Shack with Seuss and the kids and allows the twins to tag along when she hangs out with her friends. Hirsch grew up watching Freaks and Geeks, the Judd Apatow sitcom starring Cardellini, so she was the ultimate cool girl for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Mabel's two best friends in town were Candy, voiced by storyboard artist Nikki Yang, and Grenda, voiced by Carl Ferrulo. The two were good friends and worked next to each other in the office. They had a unique dynamic where Carl would sometimes scream as he spoke, and Nikki would respond in her soft voice. You might recognize Nikki Yang as the voice of BMO in Adventure Time.
Yes, man.
Or Lady Rainicorn.
When she first appeared
Yeah.
in that episode where she meets them for the first time, I was like, BMO!
BMO!
It was a beautiful moment.
Love BMO. Because English is not her first language, some of the scripts contained words that were difficult for Nikki to pronounce. On the spot, Hirsch would ask her to try different things, and they would work out lines together. Yang was born in South Korea, and Candy speaks a line of Korean in the episode Sock Opera.
Yeah.
Nice.
When they're going after that the cute guy,
Gabe,
yeah, who's like weird.
Yes,
Weird
he's in love
levels
with his
of into
puppets.
puppets.
He's very, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
She runs after him and she says, wait, no, Gabe, Candy still loves you, but she says it in Korean.
Yeah. Oh man.
One of the series' antagonists was Lil Gideon, a young boy who claims to have telepathic powers. Lil Gideon has a cult-like following in the town, which allows him to torment Stan and the twins.
Yeah, he kind of fits in the same business area as
Yes.
Stan, so
Yeah.
he's like inherently a rival.
And also because, like, you know, everybody loves him so much, he gets away with everything.
So much.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's just so cute. Ooh, and he has the little southern voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the like dimples,
Yeah.
stuff kind of thing.
Lil me. He was voiced by Thurup Van Orman, who was a writer on The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack and Adventure Time.
Nice.
He tried so hard to sing well in the Little Gideon's first episode, but he just wasn't keeping on the beat, so he was asked not to sing again.
Oh no.
Gideon only sings once in the show.
Yeah, which is so funny because it was really supposed to be a big part of his character.
Oh, really?
You know? Like, I mean, the fact that he sings songs, he's cute, all
Yeah.
that.
Interesting.
And, like, I think, Thurup was like, yeah, and then when I was not able to do that, he's like, I feel bad because I think they just kind of scrapped that part of Little Gideon's personality.
But you know, I think despite that, it kind of
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
in the show because he, like, as he keeps losing to the Pines family,
Yeah.
he kind of like gets more desperate and like stops caring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just like, I don't care about putting on
Shows
this
like
face
this,
for people.
yeah.
I don't care about
Yeah.
the telepathy tent or whatever
Yeah.
his business
Yeah.
was. I just want to destroy the Mystery Shack and get
Yeah, he
revenge on the
becomes
Pines.
more and more jaded and
Yeah.
evil and
Yeah.
yeah. Pacifica Northwest, the somewhat nemesis of Mabel Pines, was voiced by writer and producer Jackie Buscarino. It took her forever to sing a song for the show as well, so there are no more songs for her character.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
It's
she has
a
like this
sim-
one ballad.
Yeah, it seems like it was difficult for everybody. to
Yeah.
sing.
You know.
Singing just ain't working out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
It's so funny because the amount they sing in the show, it's more than a normal cartoon,
Yeah.
but it's not like a musical.
Right, right. And sometimes they just let like background music handle it.
Or like I just absolutely love the parodies and like
Yeah.
when
yeah.
Yes.
Dipper sings their version of Dancing Queen.
Oh right, right.
Oh God. The music in Gravity Falls maintains the mood incredibly well. It's also a wonderful running gag where the characters sing license-free knockoffs of the popular songs. Like, Taking Over Midnight is a parody of Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Girls do what we like.
Yeah.
This is the line.
Oh my gosh, it's so good because you know what it's referencing, but
Yes.
they just twist the words. And
Oh, and Mabel
hilarious.
sings like a Don't Stop Believing
yeah.
song.
Oh, yeah.
Put on the most crowd-pleasing 80s poppiest song you've got. Of course it would be that one.
Yes,
Yep.
that would be the one. Brad Breek composed the music and did an amazing job. A typical day for him was watching an episode over and over again to try to figure out what music will support what is happening. He paid attention to the emotion of the show and what was happening with the characters. You know, just kind of like a regular film composer. Where
Yeah.
You would, you know. The one thing that Alex Hirsch feels is perfect is the theme song and animation that goes with it. He would not change a thing about it, unlike how he sees little things wrong throughout the episodes.
Oh,
Yeah.
stop looking at those, man. You did
You
great.
did an awesome job.
know,
But I just want to say, I love the Gravity Falls theme song. I never skip it. I never do. I always watch it. It's
Yep.
beautiful.
And actually, I agree. I never skipped it. And then when in the few episodes where it like shortens it, I was
Yes.
like,
Definitely do.
I wonder if it aired that way though.
I know. I wonder if it did
because
too.
yeah.
because I think it might be like they needed a few extra seconds for the episode.
Oh,
So they're like,
that could
Let's-
be.
shave off
Yeah,
the
but
intro.
damn, I love that intro.
Yeah.
It's always so good. The cold open is always just intriguing enough. Just interesting enough, and then they jump into that music
Yep.
and like the animated time lapse of the trees and like
Yep.
riding into town
So
with the
perfect.
water tower.
Yep.
And like I love the weatherman with what,
Yep.
you know, and the big
Yeah.
question mark, and it's so good. Like it really, like it's just
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah.
And then when they change it later, you know,
Yes.
because things happen.
Yeah, they have to change it. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my. Oh God.
We have so many favorite episodes of this show. Am I right?
Yeah.
Like we said, none of them are bad. In fact, we don't really have any least favorite episodes at all. We're going to highlight the ones that we enjoyed the most, but please keep in mind that there are no bad episodes of Gravity Falls. We're going to try to avoid talking about major plot points in the episodes for those that haven't seen the show yet. Stop the podcast now and go watch the show if you don't want any spoilers at all.
Yeah, we're gonna keep
Yes.
it light though. We're gonna try not to talk
But
about too
yes,
many big ones.
Yes. The first episode we're going to talk about is called Tourist Trapped.
Hey.
This is the pilot episode. The pilot episode begins as Mabel and Dipper are fleeing from an unseen monster in the woods. After a freeze frame and a rewind.
Classic.
Yes.
Yeah.
This episode sets up the plot of the show and introduces all the main characters. In this episode, Mabel begins dating a strange boy that Dipper suspects is a zombie.
Oh my God. Yes.
Here we see the journal for the first time, a book that chronicles many of the happenings in Gravity Falls. This episode sets up the relationship dynamic of Dipper and Mabel and shows the audience how much they care about each other.
Yes. This is such a great first episode.
Yes.
You know, it introduces Dipper gets his hat in this
Yep.
one, his classic hat.
Yeah, I
Right.
didn't know that wasn't part of, like, it wasn't just his hat.
Yeah.
He grabbed it because Stan let them take
Choose
something
one
from the
thing.
gift
Yeah.
shop.
Under $10.
Yeah,
Is it?
quick before I change my mind.
Yeah, no, I love it. This episode is so cool because it does a really good job of setting things up. You
Yep.
know, he finds the journal in this episode, so it introduces that mystery of like, what is this?
What's
you know,
going on?
he
Yeah.
struggles about whether or not to talk to Mabel about it. You know, and then we've also got Mabel dealing with this boy crazy thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
classic.
And how, you know, she wants to date this boy who seems like a zombie.
And one of my favorite little details is that the drawing in the journal of the zombie
Yeah.
looks very
So
much
much.
like this boy.
Like this boy.
Yes. The Hand That Rocks the Mabel is the 4th episode of season 1. In this episode, we meet Lil Gideon, one of the major antagonists in the show. After the twins visit his tent of telepathy, Gideon falls in love with Mabel and insists that they date. When she turns him down, the twins find out that Gideon is even more powerful than they thought.
Yeah. They think that he's kind of just a fraud.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job of setting up him being a fraud because he has this song and he's like, everyone is swooning over him. People are singing along with him.
Yep.
Full band backing him
Yep.
up. People are, lots of people in the parking lot. They're dressed up in his merch.
Yep.
And
It's very, Yep.
yeah. And, Dipper really writes him off as like, he's just a fake.
Because they're
Yeah.
like,
He's
you're
not in
afraid
the
of
journal,
him? Like,
so-
what the heck?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, whatever. And Mabel, he's obsessed with Mabel, who really struggles with turning him down because she doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
They're expecting us. Please say you'll go.
Gideon, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to say,
I'm on the edge of my seat.
This is gonna be adorable.
if she says no, I'll die from sadness.
I can verify that will indeed happen.
But, I think he does actually like Mabel in the end of the day. But
Yeah.
at first, it seems like a stunt to
Yeah.
get more, I don't know, media attention because it's like, oh, little Gideon's dating somebody. You remember?
Yeah.
Because he keeps the newspaper clipping because it's the only picture he has of the two of them together where she
Yeah.
looks incredibly uncomfortable and
Yeah.
he's looking right at the camera with
Yeah.
like a wink and a thumbs up kind of
Yes.
thing. So it's like, ooh, was this a plan or do you actually
No,
like
I think he
Mabel?
really likes her.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I think it is true.
Yeah.
He
No,
just can't help, he can't turn off his like persona, you know?
yeah.
The inconvenience scene is the 5th episode of season 1. In this episode, Dipper and Mabel tag along to hang out with Wendy and her friends at a haunted convenience store.
Aha.
This is a perfect standalone episode.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
almost no plot in this one. I love it. We've got the kids are going to this haunted store and they find out that it's haunted because the mom and pop, but which are actually the names on their shirts, like their names are Ma and Pa. They died of a double heart attack because they heard rap music for the first time.
Yep. It was teens.
Outrageous.
Yeah, it was
How
like
dare they?
Teenagers.
that, and we also have the juxtaposition of Stan, who is stuck at home watching the boring old lady
Oh my
channel or
God.
whatever.
Yes, where it's like this old-fashioned.
It's basically
like,
Pride and
love
Prejudice.
story. Yeah,
Kids, I can't find the,
The
remote,
Duchess
and I
and-
refuse to get up.
get up.
I may be a duchess, but I'm also a woman. Yes! Yes!
That's what I've been saying.
Oh, look at her in that dress. Count Lionel? What's he doing here?
I've come to reclaim my bride.
You had your chance at the cotillion, you!
You had your chance at the cotillion, you.
That's what I'm saying!
God.
See, this is why the episodes that are technically filler are still great. They have such good humor in them still.
Yeah.
And then the relationship between Dipper and Wendy,
Yeah.
it has moments in this episode too because it's the first time that they she lets
This
them
is when
hang
Dipper
out.
kind of realizes he has a crush on her.
Yeah.
He didn't even really realize it before, but now he's like, he
Yeah,
figured it out in this
at,
episode.
At first, he just kind of wanted to hang out with the older kids. He wanted to be seen as
Yeah,
cool, right?
Yeah, in general.
But then when
Yeah.
Wendy was like super nice to him and like covered up his embarrassment for him, he was like, "Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
The Time Traveler's Pig is the 9th episode of season 1. It introduces 2 important characters for the show, Waddles the Pig and Blendin Blandin.
I love Blendin Blandin.
He's
And of course,
so funny.
Waddles. Of course.
Yes.
Can't go without him."
Blendin is a time traveler played by Justin Roiland, known for playing Morty in Rick and Morty and Lemon Grab in Adventure Time.
He voices anxiety better than anyone I've ever noticed. You know,
Yeah.
his characters always have that sound to them.
Yeah.
I love it.
That like a little bit of whiny, but not
Yes.
like too whiny.
Yeah, just like that. Oh God. This is an episode where they're at this fair, this carnival,
Yes.
and Dipper messes up, and he wants to fix it.
Yep.
And
yeah. He
Mabel
wants to-
wins a
yeah.
pig.
He's trying to impress Wendy.
Yes. And they just happen to stumble upon this time traveler who shows up, and they use his little measuring tape,
Yeah.
which is a time travel device.
I love the kind of loop they create because he's there to investigate anomalies that they detected in the future.
Yeah.
But they haven't happened
Yeah.
because the episode
because
is set
him
anom-
being there is what causes the anomalies. Because the kids see him, and then they're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we can fix our mistakes."
Yeah.
And they do it over and over again in this episode.
But
and
yeah. They find out that you can't have both basically in this timeline. So
Yeah.
Yeah, like, Dipper wants to impress Wendy, and when he finally gets what he wants, it turns out it takes Waddles away from Mabel. So Waddles the pig is introduced in this episode,
Oh,
and
he's
he's
so
in the
good.
rest of the show.
he's so good.
He's so
And it's just a pig.
Fight Fighters is the 10th episode of season 1.
Oh man.
The names of these are just like
Yeah.
perfect.
In this episode, Dipper and Wendy's boyfriend Robbie, played by TJ Miller, decide to have a fight. Afraid that he will get hurt, Dipper brings a video game character to life to fight for him. This episode parodies old video games in such a beautiful way. There's a part where he's like a character, and he just kind of like is constantly
He's doing his idle animation.
it was back and forth, and he said, "Stand still." I said, "Stand still."
This is as still as I can stand. Yeah.
And he's like, later on, he has to feed him, and he's like, "Put it on the ground." And so Dipper puts the food on the ground, and then he just crouches, and then like it just levels up. Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh, it is very, very good. I think at the same time, is this the same one where like Seuss crawls into the arcade machine?
Yes, Seuss
And
gets
is
trapped
like
inside.
stuck in it.
Yes. Oh my god. My sister Becky loves this episode, so I knew I had to mention it.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Summerween is the 12th episode of season 1. In the middle of summer vacation, the town of Gravity Falls celebrates Summerween, a Halloween-like holiday where children go trick-or-treating in June.
Yeah. They love the holiday so much that they do it twice.
I'm on board.
Let's do it.
We should do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
The children find themselves up against a local legend called the Summerween Trickster, who threatens to eat them if they don't bring him 500 pieces of candy by the end of the night. This episode is so good. It's honestly, it could be its own thing. It's like,
Yeah.
it legitimately, it's such a fantastic idea. It's creepy enough. You know,
Yeah.
I love watching it with other people because it's a little shocking at
Yeah.
some points.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the trickster is genuinely freaky.
Yes, he's genuinely scary.
Because up until this point, a lot of the supernatural things have been kind of like, they're
Goofy.
cartoon scary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they're just
They're
kind of
meh, yeah.
off, and then turns out it's gnomes, right?
Yeah.
But this guy's like, wait a second, this is a real thing that is like
Yeah.
powerful and scary and
Yeah.
eats children.
Oh my gosh. And this is such a good Seuss episode. Like when they're hiding in the store and he's like, "I'm sorry, I need some levity," and he keeps hitting the skeleton heads that are like making jokes.
Yeah, it's one of those
Making
things
noise.
that's attached to a bowl. So that when you put it, like you fill it with candy and then you set it out so that when somebody goes to grab a piece of candy, the skeleton like lights up and like, ah, ha, ha. Just to try to spook people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you can also tap the head of it and it tells like jokes or whatever. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is the greatest thing.
The skeleton's the voice of a generation.
Voice of a generation. Yeah, yeah, and they have to be super quiet because they're hiding from the thing.
The thing, yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry.
Dreamscapers is the 19th episode of season 1 and the first part of a 2-part season finale. Dipper and Mabel play a game in the attic while Stan mocks Gideon's commercial. They learn that Gideon plans to destroy the Mystery Shack and replace it with a new tent of telepathy. Stan assures them that Gideon will only take over if he breaks in and unlocks his safe. Gideon, angered, pulls out Journal 2 and plans to unleash the Journal's greatest weapon, the Dream Demon Bill Cipher. So we meet Bill Cipher in this episode for the first time, who is, I mean, not to spoil too much, but is essentially the big baddie of the whole show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Little Gideon is a little baddie.
He's a little baddie. The big baddie is Bill Cipher. Yeah. It works also because it's like he's a dream demon. The plan is for him to go into Stan's head, grab the combination to the safe so that Gideon can use it to steal the deed. Gideon Rises is part 2 of the season 1 finale. Gideon Gleeful steals the mystery shack from Stan, forcing Dipper, Mabel, and Grunkle Stan to live with Seuss and his grandmother, his abuelita.
It's
Yeah.
so cute.
I love her. Grunkle Stan is unsure about taking care of the twins and considers sending them back home. With their summer in Gravity Falls threatened, Mabel and Dipper decide to take on Gideon and win back the shack.
Win back the shack.
This is
Yeah.
a wild season finale, too.
It really is, because it raises the stakes, like, a lot.
Yeah.
Because to this point, the shack has always been fine.
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, everything kind of sits at a status quo. You know, it's
Yeah.
all kind of normal. But at the end of the first part, they lose.
They lose
essentially.
the shack.
Yeah.
The shack is
And they're
gone.
like, well,
yeah.
shoot. And then Stan's like, I can't. Without the shack, I can't take care of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
which is
Yeah.
which is
There's
crazy.
nowhere for them to sleep.
Yeah, and Seuss's grandmother can't take care of, what is it, an additional 4 or 5?
Right.
Well,
It's
no,
additional
it'd be
3 people.
Yeah.
Here's another great standalone episode. The Gulf War is the Gulf War is the 3rd episode of season 2. After being belittled by Pacifica one too many times, Mabel challenges her to a miniature golf game, which gets a tad out of control when they get too involved in an ongoing war between the mini golf course residents while they attempt to win Mabel's favor. Oh my goodness. This episode is genius. I love this episode. This is the one where all of the little mini golf people, the Lilliputians, as told by Patton Oswalt.
Yeah. It works. The name works better written out.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a play on Lilliputians, the little characters in Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah, it's such a great concept, because if you've ever wondered what goes on inside the contraptions at a miniature
Yes.
golf course,
Yeah.
because you hit your ball into a thing and then wait, and then it comes out the bottom somewhere. What goes on in those places?
Yeah.
Right.
Here
You
we
never know.
Where is it actually?
Here's our explanation.
That's incredible!
And so needlessly complicated.
Oh, shucks. It's only our lifelong passion. Would you like us to elaborate through song?
We're good.
The first time I watched this, I had to stop it because I was crying because I was laughing so hard.
This actually was the second episode that I ever saw, because it was one that you showed us.
So like what's going on is all the different, holes at Putt-Putt.
They're all themed differently.
Yeah, they all have their own.
They're all like different countries.
Yeah,
essentially.
and they're all warring. They're all fighting each other, and Mabel will get to decide which of them is the best. And so they're trying to help Mabel win this game, hoping that she's going to pick one of them.
And actually a part where we kind of start to see Pacifica turn as a character.
Yeah, Pacifica is not so much of a mean girl in this episode.
The next one we have is the Little Gift Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
It's episode 6 of season 2.
Yeah.
This episode is also the second Halloween special of the series. In 3 distinct stories, framed as Stan selling oddities to a visiting tourist, Stan is cursed by a witch. Waddles eats a bowl of brain-improving goop and becomes so smart he creates a device that gives him the ability to talk.
In the voice of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Which is the best thing ever. And Mabel confronts her phobia of claymation.
This episode is so cool, especially when we talk about Alex Hirsch wanting Stan to have like that Vincent Price kind of.
Yes, it's such a good.
He has that
frame.
a lot in this episode.
Yeah, I love how it's kind of first person.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the camera's moving around as if it was us.
Yeah.
And Stan talking directly to the audience. No other episode does it.
Alex Hirsch is so openly a huge fan of The Simpsons. And this very much borrows the Treehouse of Terror format from that show.
Yes.
Like, there's Halloween specials are always the Treehouse of Terror episodes. And it's just basically a bunch of mini episodes.
Yeah.
And that's what this episode does. And it does it really well.
Yeah.
My favorite is the claymation episode.
What about stop motion?
What? Do you really believe someone moves these figures one frame at a time? I'm not a masochist. I used black magic to make them animate themselves.
It's so good. And actually, real quick, this is the second time, I believe, that they do one of these, like, mini episodes.
Yes.
Because the one with, the endless pit, I
Yeah,
think.
the bottomless pit was the other one. Yes.
So good. Blendin's Game is episode 8 of season 2. In the year 2012, Blandin escapes from the Infinitentiary, and the Paradox Avoidance Enforcement Squadron hunts him down. When they and the Time Baby capture him,
What a sentence.
yes, he invokes Globnar. It just keeps getting weird. A futuristic gladiatorial game where the winner of the games receives a time wish. Blandin appoints Mabel and Dipper as tributes to compete against him as part of his plot for revenge.
Yeah, so in the first episode with Blandin, Mabel and Dipper really screw him over.
Yes.
They use his equipment, he gets in serious trouble, he gets basically thrown in time jail. And so now he's like, I'm having my revenge.
Yep.
We're gonna do this, we're gonna fight to the death sort of in this time travel game. And the kids are like, all right, they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is also the episode where Seuss is having a birthday.
Yes.
But he does not like his birthday.
Yeah,
right.
It turns out that Seuss doesn't like his birthday, and they want to use the time wish. They want to win the game and use the time wish to help Seuss.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is such a cute episode for a lot of reasons. It
Yeah.
really shows you, like, how the kids, when they're together, they do the right thing.
Yeah.
You
They
know.
care.
I really like how this one ends where, they give the wish to Seuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't need this, and he wishes, like, Mabel and Dipper, like, get fixed. Essentially, their bruises go away and they're cleaned up, right? And Blandin comes just like, do you have any idea what you just wasted? A time wish or whatever? And then he's like, oh, but I also wish for this. It's a piece of pizza. It's infinite pizza. Watch.
Infinite pizza.
He eats it and then it just grows back. And then they're all like, oh, yeah. And then Blandin's like, oh, good. Whew. That's a good time wish.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love it.
I love it. I really love how, they win the competition, and because they win, they get to decide what happens to Blandin, right?
Yes.
That's the thing. They're like, it could be anything.
Oh, yeah,
you
that's
could
right.
boop them out of existence. You could, whatever. And when they win, they're like, well, we actually just kind of want to reinstate everything and fix everything that we did to him.
Yeah, because it's our fault.
Give him his old job back, and they're just, and he's so touched.
Northwest Mansion Mystery, also listed as Northwest Mansion Noir, is the 10th episode of season 2. The Northwest family is getting ready to host their annual party with the rich and influential, leaving the rest of the town out to dry. Sins of the past finally come back to bite them as a spirit wreaks havoc in a quest for justice. Pacifica enlists Dipper's help to rid the Northwest Mansion of the ghost before it ruins the fancy party.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is another nice standalone episode, another Pacifica Northwest episode.
Yeah.
Another one where she gets a little more depth to her.
Yes.
And we really realize actually how hard she's got it because of how awful her parents are.
Your parents are awful people.
All right. The next one we have on the list is A Tale of Two Stands, which is episode 12 of season 2. After a long ongoing tease, we finally find out the purpose of the strange things Stan has been up to behind the vending machine. Cornered underneath the mystery shack, Stan must finally reveal the secrets of his past and his mysterious portal to Dipper and Mabel. Rescuing his long-lost twin brother, also Stan.
Spoilers.
Man.
Yeah, we find out that Stan not only knows about the journal,
Yeah.
he's been keeping it from the kids,
Yeah.
and he's been planning to rescue his brother, who was on the other side of a portal.
Yep, Stanley and Stanford.
Weird Mageddon is the 4-part series finale of Gravity Falls.
Yeah, we didn't want to like go super heavy into spoilers. However, you have to talk about the finale.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. When Dipper accidentally reveals his plans to stay in Gravity Falls and be Ford's apprentice, Mabel becomes extremely upset and runs away. In her quick exit, she grabs the wrong bag with the sealed dimensional rift inside.
Yeah, we're skipping over a lot of story stuff here.
So there's a rift. And
Yeah.
it's kind of, very fragile.
Yeah, it's like Dipper and Ford kind of, were able to contain this rift and they've got it in the backpack. She grabs the wrong thing.
She runs into Blandon, who tells her that he can make summer last forever in exchange for the device. She agrees, but it turns out it was Bill Cipher in disguise. Oh no. He destroys the device, releasing the dimensional rift that allows him to enter the real world and become the weirdness overlord of the universe.
Oh
Yeah.
my lord. That is a
Snap.
ridiculous thing.
This is so sad and so sweet. This part of the episode where Mabel is just, she feels so lonely. She found out, she's like learning about becoming a teenager. They're going to turn 13 really soon. And
Wendy basically reveals to Mabel that high school sucks.
And Mabel didn't know that. And she's kind of on her own this whole episode because Dipper's been off with Ford and they've been doing this dimensional rift stuff. Yeah. And she's so hurt and so sad. And it just makes me cry every time I watch this. Just, he's like, oh, Mabel, summer ends. We grow up. And it's just, oh my God.
Like, oh no.
And so she does what any, sad lost kid would do, She tries to fix it. She tries to make it so that summer will last forever. And this is what really jumpstarts the finale of the show, which is this massive weird Mageddon. Everything is as strange as you could possibly imagine it. We've got monsters going around. We've got a new theme song. We've got,
So
Mabel's trapped in this prison of rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah. It's like a perfect Mabel world.
Yes.
But with very, subtly dark undertones.
Yes. Yeah, and this finale is so beautiful, and it makes me bawl every time I watch it.
Yeah.
It's just so sweet, and it wraps everything up so well. And it's like it's the perfect ending. They could never continue this show. Like this is done.
No.
Right.
This is over. And I love that about it. But also I want more.
All right, everyone. Now we are moving on to the funnest of facts. Old Man McGucket was originally going to be named Hootenanny McGucket.
Old Man McGucket is the town kook.
Yeah.
In this show, he's also voiced by Alex Hirsch, I think.
Oh my, for goodness sake.
Is, yes.
Yeah,
Goodness sake.
he's like this silly, goofy guy.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Who is a secret genius.
Yep.
You find out later.
Yes.
We just hadn't really mentioned him yet, so that's why I'm like, we better explain who Old Man McGucket is.
If you look carefully, the symbol on Stan's hat changes halfway through the first season. This happened because Hirsch became concerned that it too closely resembled the Shriner's hat symbol, and they could get in legal trouble. When Gravity Falls came to Disney Plus, they removed the symbol from the hat for streaming. Hirsch fought this, and the hat symbol has been restored. Halfway through the show, a fan correctly guessed who the author was and their connection to Grunkle Stan. So Hirsch and his team created a fake image of Old Man McGucket, the town inventor and eccentric, with 6 fingers. They knew this might fool some fans because whoever created the journal had 6 fingers. The image spread online. That's pretty wild.
He was like, we gotta nip this in the bud. We need to create an alternate story.
Somebody was able to kind of figure out what was going on.
And instead of caving and changing their story, they did something
Thank God.
about it.
Yeah.
there was a moment, there's an episode where they almost think that too.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They built it up for that in the show too.
Yeah.
So it's like people watch and we're like, oh, we were right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They messed up when they leaked that photo.
Yeah.
All right, next we have the awards and reception that it received. So as the show was ending, Alex Hirsch decided that there was one last thing he needed to do. He needed to have a real-life Bill Cipher in the world. So he had a plexiglass version made of Bill. He and Ian Worrell then crafted a whole big treasure hunt for the fans, which started with a brief video of the statue at the end of the final episode. We'll link to the info about the entire hunt on our blog for those that are interested.
Super
in that,
cool.
It's so neat. Many people absolutely love this show. Both seasons of Gravity Falls hold a 100% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Wow. With an almost perfect audience score as well. Wow. That's pretty
impressive.
hard to do.
Yeah. Last time I looked, it was like 96.
Damn.
Wow.
Or 98.
That's
maybe.
so cool.
That's good. Gravity Falls has been ranked by various publications, including Uproxx, IndieWire, Yardbarker, IGN, and the AV Club, as third on the current kids' cartoons that adults should watch. Okay. It also is 12th on the 50 best animated series of all time, and 48th on the 100 best TV shows of the 2010s.
Dude.
It was Disney XD's top animated series of 2015 and drew in an average of 1.8 million viewers per episode.
Jeez.
Ranking as the third animated cable TV series in ages 9 to 14.
Oh, wow.
The show was nominated for 49 awards across the industry and won 13 of them. This includes 2 back-to-back Primetime Emmys for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Animation.
That's so nice. Wow.
So good. Also an Annie Award for Best Animated TV/Broadcast Production for Children's Audience. And additionally, J.K. Simmons won 2 People's Choice Awards for his work on the show.
Ford.
Absolutely.
How do you guys feel about Gravity Falls before we wrap this up?
My goodness gracious. I'm very glad that I finally, committed to it and watched it through. I knew for a very long time that I wanted to watch it. It was always on my list, and that I knew I would like it. But you know how things go. But I'm glad we did this episode. It was like the ultimate reason to actually pull the trigger and do it.
Yeah.
Because, I was shown a couple of episodes before, and they were great. But for some reason, I just, life gets in the way or whatever. But I did it, and I'm so glad I did it. And I am on that team now. It's like, oh man, I wish there was more to watch.
Yeah. I remember when I told you, I said it's one of my favorite animated shows ever. Like of all time. And you were like, oh. Okay.
It's high praise,
it's a little bit of a surprise, So I was like, yeah, no, trust me, I didn't expect it to be, but it is.
Yeah.
For me, it's like right under Avatar. I think it's a fantastic show.
It has so much for everyone to like really dig into.
Yeah.
It presents such a great world and mystery. That's also just in like rural Oregon, so it's like it could be real.
Yeah, there's so much of like the
so
woods we're
fun.
like, ooh, we don't know about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun.
We start out in the first episode with a rainbow puking gnome. I mean, you can only get better from there,
Right?
Yes.
I think that's why that image has stuck around so much. People just love that.
It's such a beautiful story. I love the heart and soul behind it. The characters really care about each other, and and it is. I love spooky mystery things, so it's just something so neat about that. Yeah. And I wish there were more shows like it. Honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same.
It's rare to find a show like Gravity Falls. On the surface, it may appear to be like any other wacky children's cartoon, with funny characters and silly plots. But from the very first episode, it's easy to see that this series is something special. It focuses on impossible plots, played out by characters that show real emotion. For the children watching, the characters like Mabel will inspire them to be themselves, while Dipper reminds them how thrilling it can be to use your imagination. For the adults, Gravity Falls is a reminder. It pulls us back to a time when summer was the most magical time, and when the idea of growing up was the most exciting yet terrifying thing. This series is a complete story that is jam-packed with lore and world building, but also enough Monster of the Week episodes to let the audience breathe. The characters are genuine, the stories are creative, and the lessons are important for all ages. So if you're interested, don't wait to visit or revisit Gravity Falls. The mysteries are waiting. All right.
You'll never know. Mysteries. Oh man, it's so good. You mentioned just some of the humor is just so top notch. Because there was one part that sticks with me, probably the most, when Dipper was still swooning over Wendy.
Yeah.
And he was having these visions. He had one vision of himself taller, or maybe it was just the same him. I don't remember. Yeah. Just taking Wendy for a dance. She's like, "Oh, Dipper, you're the best." The whole thing.
Yeah.
that a child would imagine.
As they would imagine, yeah.
But then when Robbie shows up, he imagines her with Robbie. He's like, "Oh, Robbie, you're so cool and mysterious, and I like you more because you play guitar." And then she's like, "Hold on a second." And she walks over to Dipper and just boom,
oh,
right
yeah,
in the gut, and he knocks him out. Like, hold on a second, I need to go punch Dipper also.
Yeah.
That was one of the moments that broke me, I think. That was so freaking funny.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moments like that, so.
But yep, all right. I guess let's consider that a case closed. Okay. Ooh. Well, thank you for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hope you have a great evening. Go watch Gravity Falls.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons, John, JD, Anthony, Shelley, Bob, Jaron, and Jacob.
Thank you so much.
And we hope you enjoyed the extended version of this episode.
Yes.
We'll see you again next week.
Have a spooky week.
Ooh. Bye.
Want to see what else is on TV?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all
Should be
right.
fun.
My favorite part's the theme song.